All right, welcome back to another exciting new episode about talking about Stoicism. We're going over the Moral Letters by Lucius Annaeus Seneca, and we have landed on letter 75, and I think there are some very interesting things in this letter, so I wanted to read you passages. I'll do one bit, talk a little bit about it, and then I'll talk about the second bit that I wanted to talk about. You complain that I'm expending less care on the letters I send you. So I am, for who expends care over a conversation? Only one who deliberately adopts an affected manner of speaking. I wish my letters to be like what my conversation would be if you and I were sitting or walking together, easy and unstudied. They have in them nothing forced, nothing feigned. If it were possible, I would prefer to show you what I think rather than tell you. Even if I were delivering a speech, I would not stamp my foot or gesture with my hands, and I would not raise my voice. I would leave those things to the orators and be content to convey my thoughts to you in a manner that is neither ornate nor haphazard. The one impression I would want to make upon you is that I feel every one of the things I say. Indeed, that I love them as well as I feel them. People kiss a lover in one way and their children in another way. Yet even in that chaste and restrained caress there is a sufficient show of affection. It is not, by heaven, that I want what is said about such great themes to be genuine and arid, for there is a place for literary talent even in philosophy. Still, it is not proper to expend a great deal of effort over the words. Let this be the whole of our intention. Let us say what we feel, and feel what we say. Let the conversation be in harmony with how we live. What is to fulfill one's promise? It is for the person we see and the person we hear to be one and the same. It is then that we see what sort of person it is who has promised and how big a person he is, for then he is just one person. Our words should provide benefit rather than delight. I think what he's saying here, to me, is a very important thing to be reminded of. And that is, you have to be genuine. You have to be a genuine person. I don't think you can practice Stoicism if you are not a genuine person. And what I mean by that is you need to live the principles of that philosophy. And I've kind of alluded to this a couple times, but it's an important point. You can't say, well, I love Stoicism. This is the Instagram-worthy Stoicism. I'm posting all these quotes. I love it, but then not actually live that stuff, because then it doesn't work. It's very easy to say, I think Stoicism is a great invention. I think it was a wonderful school of philosophy when I'm happy. But once my life breaks down a little bit, as it always does, because that's what life is like, there are ups and downs. Sometimes something bad happens and you have to deal with that. It is at those moments that you actually need to practice those tenets of Stoicism the most. And that's when we tend to forget about them. It's easy to say when everything is going well and you're happy in life, some things are within your control and other things are not within your control. It's very easy to tell someone else who's going through something difficult that. But then once difficulties kind of reach you, as again, they do. There are ups and downs in life. This is normal. But then at that point, that's when you should really remember these teachings. Wait a minute, some things are within my control. Is this actually within my control? If yes, I can change it. If not, I can't change it. In both cases, is it worth worrying about if it is or is not within my control, right? And at those moments, we need it the most. But then we forget about it. Now, part of this is being genuine. Genuinely living those principles. But in general, a more general sense. By being a genuine person, by making it clear to people that your yes is yes and your no is no, not scheming behind their backs, not talking about them behind their backs, not coming up with all sorts of plans behind their backs. You're showing that you are, or are not, a genuine person. And if you are not a genuine person, that will always come out. That will always come out. Because one moment or another, something happens, something gets screwed up in the plan, and it comes out. And then people know, right? So, there is a simple solution. Be a genuine person. Like he says, say what you mean what you say. If you do that, then you're acting in a genuine fashion. And people will know that. And people will appreciate that. It's not always easy to do so. But in the long run, I do think that is something that will help you be happier in life. Because you know that what you're saying and doing genuinely represents how you feel. Okay, now, interestingly, he moves on. And so, I'll continue reading. But look, are there no levels below that person? Is it just wisdom and then a sudden drop-off? No, I don't think that. The one who is making progress is indeed counted among the foolish, and yet he is separated from them by a considerable interval. And even among progressors, there are important distinctions to be made. According to some, they are divided into 3 types. First are those who do not yet possess wisdom, but have set their feet in that vicinity. For being nearby is still being outside. Do you ask who these people are? They are those who have put aside their emotions and their faults, but whose loyalty is still untried. They do not yet possess their good in such a way as to use it. Nonetheless, it is no longer possible for them to fall back into those things they have left behind. They are now in that place from which there is no backsliding, but they do not yet realize this about themselves. As I remember writing in one of my letters, they do not know that they know. Already, it is their lot to enjoy their good, but not yet to be confident of it. Some authors delimit the aforementioned category of progressors in such a way as to assert that they have now rid themselves of the infirmities of mind, but not yet of the emotions, and that they are still in danger, since no one has gotten beyond peril of vice until he has shed it altogether. But no one has shed it altogether unless he has put on wisdom in its place. The difference between infirmities of mind and emotions is something I've explained more than once. I will remind you now as well. The infirmities are faults that have become ingrained and hard, like greed and ambition. These are conditions that bind the mind much more tightly and have begun to be permanent afflictions. To give a brief definition, an infirmity is a persistent judgment in a corrupted person that certain things are very much worth pursuing that in fact are only slightly worth pursuing. Or, if you prefer, we can define it this way. It is being overly concerned with things that one ought to pursue either casually or not at all, or considering something to be of great value when in fact it is either of some lesser value or of no value at all. The emotions are unjustifiable movements of the mind that are abrupt and agitated. These, when they occur frequently and do not receive any treatment, cause the infirmity, just as a single cold in the head, if it is not protracted, brings on nothing more than a cough. But if it happens repeatedly for a long time, it brings on the wasting disease. Hence those who have made the most progress have gotten beyond the infirmities, but they still experience emotions, even though they are very near perfection. In other words, people start to make progress. They're not quite there yet, but they have decided to make progress. They've decided to go on a certain path, and they're doing some of the right things. They may still slip up a bit here and there, but they are slowly but steadily getting there. The rest is shorter. The second category comprises those who have put aside both the worst of the mind's failings and the emotions, but not in such a way as to have a secure grasp on their tranquility. They are still liable to relapse. The third category is beyond many serious faults, but not all. They have escaped greed, but still experience anger. They are not troubled by lust, but are still subject to ambition. They no longer experience desire, but they still experience fear. Even in fear, they are steadfast against some things, but yield to others. They are unconcerned about death, but still terrified of pain. Let us give some thought to this matter. It would be well for us if we can join the last group. By great natural gifts and constant studious application, one may attain to the second. The third stripe, however, is not to be despised. Think how many ills you see around you, how no wrong is unexampled, how much depravity advances each day, what misdeeds are committed both publicly and in private, and you will realize that it is sufficient achievement for us if we are not among the worst. And that, I think, is a very good way to look at it. We all make mistakes, we all do things wrong, we try to make progress on the path of Stoicism, leading a better life, and still sometimes we fail. However, by going through these 3 stages, and these are fairly arbitrary stages, I think that he's come up with in my mind, but what is vital is that you do make progress. And important to remember in that is, at least I'm no longer among the worst. Look back to where you were half a year ago, maybe a year ago, maybe even a month ago, if you're starting out on this whole journey of trying to incorporate this into your life. And notice then that no longer are you the worst version of yourself. And slowly but steadily, as you keep working on yourself, as you keep applying these principles, you will become a better and better version of yourself. Until hopefully one day you will join this sort of final category that really seems to be firmly rooted in the teachings of Stoicism and is a group that is less and less perturbed by certain things. And yet Seneca says even this group still suffers from certain afflictions. After all, we are still human, right? We will still make mistakes. We will still do things wrong. However, less so than we used to. And that is progress. Very often we get caught in the trap of thinking that we have to be perfect. Well, that's going to fail every single time because no one is perfect. However, you can make progress and make genuine effort to continue to make progress. And by doing so, you become a better version of yourself. And that's progress. And progress is enough. So, I hope this was useful. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the difficulties in continuing to make progress, the kind of hurdles you may run into when you do this sort of thing. I'd be interested in reading that. And that's all, let's do it. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.